It's good to be up here this morning. I want to first give thanks to those who were present last week and who supported your car and trucker. Who supported Jonathan Hunter. And who supported the ensemble of Jehovah's Witnesses. It was magnificent. It was just magnificent. And excuse me. And it's that magnificence that assists any spiritual leader. Because I know the practitioners were all on one accord. Actually doing what they know to do best. Praying up the center of peace. Keeping it in the forefront of everyone's mind. You heard throughout, perhaps, that one of our practitioners had to have emergency surgery in my absence. And it was their consciousness, it was the practitioner's consciousness that has made it all better. I understand she's doing quite well. I just got in last evening, so I haven't had a chance to interface with many. But you see how that happens? It just seems like things just have a wonderful way of working out. And I don't know what's happening to this wonderful voice. But it has a wonderful way of working out. I had already planned a trip to be with my daughter in California for Thanksgiving. And during the course of my preparations, after I'd made all the reservations, I kept hearing from some of my dear practitioners, thank you so much, from some of my dear practitioners, and then also my son-in-law and my daughter, saying that, well, first, I was going to fly in on Thanksgiving Day and fly back out on Sunday night or Monday. And I kept hearing individuals say, why are you going that far and staying such a short time? Well, why don't you take some days off? And I was getting so much of it, I thought, oh, wait, you want me to get out of here? I'm going to stop and think about this. And I heard them. And of course, the 11th hour, I heard them. So I thought, okay, the real deal breaker would be how much more would I have to pay to change all of these reservations? Called the airline. They had a plane leaving the day before Thanksgiving, and I could extend it for the week, and it would be $55. And so I said, of course, yes. And so that meant that I'd be able to see more of my family members. I'd be able to be with the family a little longer. Well, you see, you always start out with your own plan. And then something else happens that has already been planned. Something else takes place that you know nothing about. And that nothing about, as you heard this morning, had to do with my brother, who lives in Chino, who is right now going through a stage of, well, it's almost the last stage of dementia. And what took place is that when I was flying there, he was being placed in the hospital with pneumonia and was very fragile. So my being in that place and for that extended period of time was also to be with the family, but to be support to my brother, who is making his decision of making his transition. And that period of time was so delightful, because the family members were able to gather and due to the wonderful support of my daughter, because he wasn't where he was in Ontario. So it meant 150 miles daily driving back and forth to the hospital. But it was that refreshing time that I knew these were quality moments that I was spending with him. And somewhere in the deep recesses of his being, he knew we were there. As the doctor informed me that, of course, he was kind of unresponsive, but there's something that is within, he said. There is something that helps to trigger, at those moments, memory. He said, we don't know what they're thinking about. We don't know what's going on within them. But when the friends and the relatives gather around, that familiarity, and I call it that remembrance of who they are, touches a space that we generally can't touch. And they're able to remember. And we saw smiles from him, almost a laughter. And that was worth much more than anything that was made of coin. The spiritual coin that we were receiving. So we never know when we embark on our journey of life what all is going to take place. So there is this part of us that just says, all right, I will be present. I will take the now moments. And when I am given direction, I will heed the call. Because I'm familiar with the voice. And the voices come from different places. The voices come from practitioners and friends and board members and all. That give you another glimmer of your next step. And so I was wondering, what kind of glimmers have you all had over these last, 338 days? That was called 2011. What kind of glimmers have taken place within your own life that you're ready to say, I did listen. I did hear that call. That day when X happened, I was present. And how many of us can say, you know, I heard the call, but I didn't recognize the voice. And that day came in and left, and I wasn't present at all. Well, that's what takes place within us as we're going on this journey. Some of the things that have taken place day by day of these last 11 months, some of those things have just whizzed by so rapidly that we just haven't allowed ourselves to connect with them, to realize that this is our life we are creating, that every now moment we're creating the next moment. And so when we're in that space of possibly not being the self that we want to be, we are creating someone else. When these times tick by, the days, the hours, and we're not fully present, then all kinds of things can take place in our experience called life. And then we go around saying, how did that happen? How did that happen? We generally don't say, how did I let that happen? It was, how did they do that to me? Why was I the one? But we are the creators here. We are the ones who set the pulse. We are the ones who set the path. We are the ones who identify what we wish to have happen to us. What brought this back to my mind even more readily was this thing that is called RAS. We talked about it before. I want us to get familiar with it this month specifically. But it's called RAS. R-A-S. And some time ago we were talking about this, and we used the example of the Native Americans and how appropriate this is because Thanksgiving just passed. But the Native Americans were going on about their lives here on this land, Earth.